Sorry, mate. Thanks for being so patient. Thanks also for welcoming us into your lovely home. You've had a fairly long history with Steve. Can you sort of explain how you sort of first met Steve?
Yeah, well, I was down the surf club rowing surf boats, which is something I've done most of my life. And Steve rocked up to the surf club one day, and he was rowing in another crew, and got to meet him. I think he was teaching at that stage, and we had a lot of camaraderie and also a lot of angst against the crews and so on. So we used to train against each other a lot at the same time, and Steve was obviously always into fitness. And we got to know each other very well. We were starting as fierce rivals, but also being good friends over that period of time.
So that was in the early 80s, is that right?
That's right, yes.
So from that time, and obviously you've stayed in contact for a period of time, and when did you actually approach him to take on the role of strength and conditioning coach for the Wallabies?
Well, I'd watched Steve's progress, I suppose, in everything he was doing, and watching what he was doing with fitness, etc. And I'd seen he was involved with the Broncos at the time. Yeah. I was coaching the Brumbies in '96, and rugby had just gone professional. So we were really looking at everything was new. We were going from 2 days a week training, I suppose, as an amateur sport to now becoming a professional sport where we're starting to train every day, I suppose, from '96. And so I started to speak to him, I suppose, when I was involved with the Brumbies, which was a new sort of start-up franchise, and had some ideas from Steve at that stage. And then coming into the end of '97, when I was offered the Wallabies job, I started to think about what we needed to do, because again, world rugby was very different. It was in a changing state, and anything we could do to be ahead of the game was going to be a bonus for us. So thinking about what the game was going to be like in the future, rugby union in particular, it was always going to be need a different type of fitness to what we'd had in the past. Players were going to needing to be fitter, faster and stronger, and it occurred to me that it would go a lot more like rugby league, and that's when I thought about Steve. I thought, why not get someone who's been there and done that, and that can bring some of that expertise to the side.
So, his skill set and obviously rugby league, is it just that, or is there something else that you're looking for in terms of providing that person's going to take you to the World Cup in 1999?
Yeah, I think his understanding of physiology, I think the sports physiology was really good, and I knew that. I knew he'd done his homework, and we were with a group of players that had been through the Academy of Sport, so they were sort of very mindful of what they thought was right for them and wrong for them. So it was important for me to have someone that knew what they were about and that they could argue the case, but also someone that was understood that you could do hard work. And certainly Steve, I knew through his background in surf boats and training and so on, I knew he could bring that to the table as well. So that's when I guess I first approached him in '97 to see if he'd be interested in coming across.
Is trust a big part of your decision-making process when you're acquiring talent?
I'd probably respect. It's important to me that I respect the people that that I get in, and therefore the players will respect them as well. That's very important, and I suppose trust comes with that. But being able to understand and be a team man is very important, and I obviously knew that Steve was that way, and as were a lot of the other players and coaches I got involved.
So we part of the program I guess we do with Steve is that we have a foundation program called Sport and Recreation, so Surf Gym Sport and Recreation, where we sort of focusing on if you're looking to a pathway to become a coach. Obviously you've been involved in professional sports for a long period of time. What are some of the important attributes of actually becoming a coach?
I think understanding that you can't do everything yourself. It's often very tough at the top. You have to make some of those hard decisions, but really understanding that using the best people around you and being able to bring a group of people together and unite them to a common cause. Not to be jealous of other people and to let yourself go a little bit and let other people do things. Let the people around you do what they're best at, and your role, I suppose, as a coach's coach and a leader is to support that and see it all come together.
So with, especially young people, teenagers that are looking to follow a pathway to become, whether it be a coach or a professional sporting person, what pieces of advice could you sort of offer them in terms of hard work and so on?
Oh, well, I think everyone knows that, that hard work's what it's all about. I think having a balance in life is really important too, to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, but not at every cost. Understanding that there's a way of going about things, and understanding that you probably get your best results by doing that, and not being insular in your approach. I'm a great believer in sharing with others. I think that's really important, and not being worried about letting some of your knowledge out because you think someone else might take some of your ideas. The greatest thing I could say is always sharing knowledge and trying to be better at everything you possibly can. And the more you do that, the more you learn, and the more you actually keep going and coming up with new ideas all the time.
Absolutely. People often look at Stephen looking at it as a teacher as opposed to a coach. How do you see him?
Oh, well, I think he's a bit of both. I think he's been there, he's done the yards, and there's no substitute for experience, and Stephen's done that. He's been in all sorts of walks of life. He's obviously been with the group that's won the World Cup, and no, that's not easy. You go through your trials and tribulations coming there. We had a very close squad and everything we did, but it wasn't without its issues all the way through those things, and how those issues are handled. He would have seen how it was handled in some areas. In other areas, he handled it very well himself as well. So, all of those things, that life experience is very important.
So probably that's the alternative strip which we never wore in the World Cup. We had a photo. So I came home and I had a Kiwi living next door. So I came in and covered the door, knocked on the door. They couldn't believe it. So we had a few drinks together and
So he was good about it.
There's a few screams and his wife came out, but that's all right. Yeah, so that were the good times. And now if you have them, you've got security guards and all